Okay, last chapter, guys. This is chapter 15 called The Pricing Framework and Firms' Pricing Objectives. First to start off, price, super important. And it's a big factor that people think about before buying from you, right? And above all the things that we're going to talk about today, what you need to remember is that price is that indicator where we're exchanging value. Customers will pay your price if you are giving them a value that's equal to or greater than the price that you're asking them to give up. So I mean, that's pretty simple, but it's true. I'm not going to pay $100 if I feel like I'm only getting $80 worth of value. Now, if I feel like I'm getting $100 worth of value, I might do it. If I'm getting $150 worth of value for $100, I'm much more inclined to do that. So the business has to think in terms of the customer. What is their perceived value of what you're giving them? And as long as that's greater than the price you're charging, you should have pretty good luck. I guess I'll also consider competition's pricing as well. Maybe they're getting more value from a competitor, and then that's why they might go there too. But it's all about value in the customer mind. So when you think about what a company's objective is in setting its price, it's more than just trying to make as much money as we can. Businesses have different objectives at different times of their business life, sometimes different times of the year, and there are a lot of considerations that weigh into the pricing decision. And so, of course, return on investment is one reason how we set our products. If we think, well, if we set it at $79, that will give us a 22% return on investment, and that's what our stockholders are requiring, then maybe we do that. But maybe we don't. But a lot of times, ROI or profitability is an objective. But then the question becomes, are you trying to maximize profits for this month, this year, or over the next 10 years, or over the next 50 years? Because you're going to price it differently depending on what your time frame is too. So a lot of times we can make a ton of money in the next month, but that might mean that we don't make much money 5 years from now. And so you have to look at your objectives. Of course, it'd be great if you made the most money now, the most money next month, the most money in a year, and the most money in 10 years. But it usually doesn't work that way. There are usually trade-offs. And so companies have to decide what's important to them. And once they decide what's important to them, that helps guide the pricing decision. So in addition to return on investment for a particular time frame, some other objectives are some companies want market share. And so they want to be the market leader and they want to sell the most. And if they're doing that, then they might be pricing a little bit lower because they're trying to attract more demand. And so their hope might be, we aren't going to make a lot of money this year, but we're going to sell the most. We're going to establish a foothold in the market. Maybe we'll drive the competition out of business, and then maybe we'll raise our prices down the road. But right now, we just want to establish a foothold everywhere and have a reputation as the company to go to. So that might be an objective, short-term or long-term. Survival. Sometimes companies will just price a product because they're on the verge of bankruptcy or going under. And I'm not trying to make a lot of money. Maybe I'll even lose some, but just enough to keep me afloat. Now, hopefully that's just a temporary solution, but sometimes you just got to get through it. With this COVID pandemic that we had, some businesses were just saying, okay, this is a bad year, 2020. If we can just get through it and not go bankrupt and pay our bills, we know we're going to lose money this year. That's okay. But if we can be one of the ones that survives, make it through, we'll do better next year. And some companies consider just surviving as a success this year. And so sometimes that's your objective. Sometimes we price because we want to maintain a certain image. So if you think about like a Rolex or a Rolls Royce or anything with rolls in it, nah, just kidding. they price their products really high. And part of that image is, oh, must be a really high quality product, the best of the best, because they charge so much. The pricing actually is part of their marketing strategy to help create their brand and create their image. And sometimes companies, they actually aren't looking to grow. They aren't necessarily hungry to take risks to make a whole lot more money. They just want to maintain status quo. And so, maybe that is, I want 20% of the market share. Okay, I will price accordingly so I can keep that. Maybe it means I even raise my prices because I'm getting so much demand. I don't want to grow. So I'll raise my prices so high that it keeps the market share down. Might enhance your profitability too. But it's not just about making the most money this month, this quarter, this year. Sometimes it is, but sometimes these other things come into play as well. And then if you look at different factors which affect the price that you're going to charge for your product, there are a lot of different factors. Okay, number one, our customer. What are they willing to pay? That's really important. You might say, well, I think it's worth $500 to them. The customer doesn't see it that way. They're going to pay it. A lot of things about your customers. So what's their mindset? What's their image of your company? What do they think it's worth? What's your customer's level of income? So we see that a lot with businesses going abroad into maybe a poorer country. So Deere and Company, okay, if you've looked at the price of a new tractor or a combine, I hope you're sitting down because it's really expensive. There's a lot of tractors out there, $750,000. Wow. Now, for some of the American farmers who have been established and have these huge operations, as expensive as it sounds, that's a worthwhile investment to them. But, as Deere's try to move into Brazil and Russia, where the farmers there have much smaller land and they don't have the capital or the ability to buy a $750,000 tractor, but yet Deere still wants to do business there, they need to sell a stripped down version of that tractor and charge much, much less. If they want to go over with the $750,000 tractor, fine. It's just going to sit on the showroom floor because nobody can afford to buy it. So sometimes you need to modify what you charge based on the level of income of your customer. And of course, we look at supply and demand. If there are only so many products out there and people want more than we have, we can charge higher. If there is a surplus where there's more products than people want to buy, okay, that's going to drive the price down. So you never thought you'd use your economics courses, but it does apply to marketing, and we got to look at supply and demand. We also need to look at the elasticity of a product in terms of price. So some products, if you raise the price just a little bit, customers have so many other options. They'll say, I don't even want to put up with a 5-cent increase. I'm going to go somewhere else. And if you have a product that's like that, you got to be really careful about raising your price because you could lose all your market share. Now, there's also opportunities when you drop your price, you'll pick up a lot of other business. You're making a little less per product, but you might be selling a lot more product. And then you have other products that are inelastic in terms of price. So cigarettes are a really good example. Gosh, when I was a kid, this was like 40 years ago or so, I want to say a pack of cigarettes was like, I don't know, 50 cents. And a carton, which I think had 12 packs of cigarettes, you could get a carton for me like $5. Well, today, I think a pack of cigarettes is more like $5 and a carton is like $60. It's like 10 times as much. But if you are a smoker or you know people who smoke, they may not like it, like cigarettes are more expensive, but it's not going to change their behavior. If I want to smoke, I want to smoke. If it costs me twice or 3 times or 10 times as much, well, I'm just going to do it. And so then they'll take money away from other things. Maybe they won't go to the movies as much, but they got to have their cigarettes. And, a lot of times alcohol is that way as well. If you like your fine whiskey and it's 30, 40, 50 bucks a bottle, well, so what? I want it and I'll pay that for it. So some products you actually can, if you change the price on it, people's buying habits won't change at all or very little. And so understand the price elasticity of your product. Let's take a look at the number of substitutes. So Are there other products that would satisfy the same need as your product to customers? If there are a lot of other great options, you would have a hard time pricing your product higher because they'll just go somewhere else. But if your product is relatively unique, then, and there aren't many substitutes, that gives you permission sometimes to jack the price up on that. We have to look at what our competition is doing. If the competition's price level is here and we're here, we got a problem. Not saying you need to match your customers, but if you're way out of whack and people don't really see a big difference in terms of quality or service, they're not going to pay more to just go with you. So you got to take a look at that. And then sometimes prices are regulated. So, in terms utility, when they set the rates, the government has to approve those rates. Your utility company can't just decide, hey, we're going to raise your rates by 20%. They have to get that passed by the state in order to do that. And sometimes like with, let's see, in the financial services industry, there's maximum rates that finance companies or banks can charge in terms of a interest rate on loans. And so you gotta make sure that you abide within the laws there too. One of the things that companies look at when setting prices, they'll talk about their break even. So I don't think the book actually walked you through a break even, and we don't need to do that today. But essentially, you would calculate a break even by taking a look at your fixed costs, which might be rent, might be salaries, and then taking a look at your variable costs, which would be how much does it cost me to make another unit? Combine the cost of the raw materials and the cost of the labor. And if I make 10, if my variable cost is $8 per unit, I'm already getting more complex than I really want to. But we look at how many units would I need to sell to cover my fixed costs and my variable costs. And maybe that's, 2,000 units. Okay, so then I might price my product at a way that helps cover all my costs, my break even. And if I sell more product than that, I'm going to make money. If I sell less product, I'm going to lose money. So anyway, I'm not going to make you solve a break-even problem for the exam, so don't worry about that. But just know that sometimes businesses will decide how to set their price based on break-even. They might think, okay, I can sell 10,000 of these units in this market easily. So let me set a price. So if I sell 10,000, which I'm pretty sure of, I'm going to make a profit. And then anything above and beyond is just going to be gravy. So that's a strategy that they have. So the next section, I want to just do 16, 18 different terms and give you some definitions of them and talk about their combination of pricing strategies and pricing practices and pricing terms. And so we're just going to walk through. You've probably heard of a lot of these. If you didn't even know the name, you're probably familiar with the concept. So early on, I think, I can't remember what chapter, but we talked about, maybe it was chapter, was it 5, where we were talking about introducing new products into the marketplace. But coming back again with the terms price skimming and price penetration. These are two strategies that when we're first introducing a product, if we price skim, we're going to charge a high initial price. And the people that are really excited about our product are going to pay a lot for it. And we're going to make a lot of money for each product that we sell. Might not sell a lot, but for everyone we sell, we're going to make a bunch of money. Or we might do a price penetration strategy where we come out with a very low price, trying to generate trial and getting people used to us and liking us. And then both of those are probably going to adjust. If you come out with a price penetration strategy where it's low in the beginning, as it picks up speed and popularity, you're probably going to end up raising your prices. If you come out with a price skimming strategy and a few people buy it, but then the market sort of dries up, you're going to start dropping your price to where more people will pick up on it. And so eventually, a lot of times, those price skimming and price penetration will eventually settle out at the market equilibrium. EDLP is everyday low pricing. So some stores, you're familiar with the sale, where a store will say, Labor Day sale, Memorial Day sale, end of the year sale, spring sale, back to school sale, whatever sale. And so this is a certain period of time where they'll say, hey, come in this week. You can get the same product that you could have last week, but for 20% less or 10% off, that kind of thing. And so people are attracted to that. Hey, I can get the same thing, pay less for it. Well, some stores have said, people don't want to wait for something to go on sale to buy it. Why don't we just give them an everyday low price, which is good. So it might not be as low as the sale price, but it's going to be lower than maybe their normal price. And so that attracts a certain market, people who don't like to wait for the coupon, wait for the sale, and just have a good feeling that they're always going to get a decent deal if they shop at this one store. So a lot of department stores will use this strategy. Walmart, their prices are always pretty reasonable. And so people don't want to have to follow the flyers, the coupons, and they just, if I feel like shopping on Tuesday or Saturday or Monday, I'm going to go in and get the same price all the time. And so it's a way of doing marketing pricing. It's not the only way, but it's a way. Cost plus pricing. So what companies do here is they'll figure out what their average cost is to make and sell a product. And let's say it's $10. And then they'll say, well, I want to make 15% profit on that. So if I want to make $1.50 off of $10, I'm going to charge $11.50. And so that's their thought process on there. Odd pricing. So, when you see things priced at, actually, we talk about psychological pricing. And as crazy as this sounds, research has proven that it works. So when something is 99 cents versus $1, you see it as being cheaper. Now, technically it is by 1 cent, but what's 1 penny, right? But when you see something $1, you put it in the category. It's like, well, it's more than $1. When you see something at 99 cents, oh, it's less than $1. And so we see a lot of that psychological pricing where, people won't charge you $5, but they'll charge you $4.98 or $4.99. And customers respond favorably to that. So it just has to do a lot with the psychology of the mind and how we see things. And so a lot of times you'll see this where items are $199. Well, they did that deliberately. Even though it's $200 for all practical purposes, we tend to truncate and we think, oh, it's like 100 and something. No, it's 200, but that's not the way our minds see that. So we do see a lot of psychological pricing, $49.99, that kind of thing. Not everybody does it. Some companies, and Walmart has done this too, getting back to the odd pricing where it's like, okay, well, everybody's charging 89 cents, right? They like the nines. So Walmart is like, well, we're doing ours for 86 cents or 83 cents. So it's kind of odd pricing, but it gets people's attention. They're like, oh yeah, they're not playing the 89-cent game. I like this. I'm saving 6 more cents. And so that's another thing that they can do. Prestige pricing. This is where companies deliberately charge higher, probably more than it's technically worth, but they're doing it in part because of image. And, it's funny, someone who might have a $12,000 fur coat, potentially it might be a better fur coat than the rest, but the big appeal on that fur coat is, well, I bought it at Burberry's and I paid $12,000 for it. Oh, what'd you pay? $1,000 for yours? And so there's this prestige that comes with sort of an outrageous price. And for some products, it really works. Luxury items, whether it's a painting or maybe a watch, or, think about Oakley sunglasses. Now, I'm not saying that they're not good. I don't wear sunglasses really, but, it seems like they're way above the market of everybody else, but yet people want Oakleys. And it may be because, one, they're good glasses, but a big part of it is, well, they're Oakleys and they're expensive. And if I say I have Oakleys, then I buy high quality and that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, many of those products are priced not because it's, oh, this is what it costs, let's mark it up by 25%. Heck, they're marking it up 500%, but that's part of the marketing strategy to do that. We also have the loss leader. And so if you've ever wondered, why would a store charge me a penny for a dozen eggs? They are not making money, okay? You guys get that, right? They're charging you $1 or a penny for a dozen eggs because they want to get you in the store. Now, if you want to go into the store and buy your eggs for a penny and walk out, you can do that. But 9 times out of 10, people will not just buy the eggs. They'll get the eggs, but then they'll pick up milk, bread, meat, blah, 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 blah. And before you know it, they're walking out of the store with a $20 grocery bill. Okay. Now they did get their eggs for $1, so the store may have lost 30 cents on the eggs, but they made $5 on the $20 grocery bill. So, that's part of the strategy there. So we will see that. Sealed bid pricing. So, a lot of times you'll see this municipalities and schools or companies might do it too and say, hey, here we got a job. It's what are you willing to do it for? Submit us a blind bid and we'll take a look at them. So sometimes that's how they decide to do that. Auction pricing. If you've ever been to an auction, you don't know what you're going to pay for it. You'll find out when you get there, when you bid against other people. And you may end up paying a lot more than you thought you would have. Maybe you get a deal and nobody else votes on something or bids on something and you get it less, and you kind of get a chance to make some deals and sort of get caught up in the excitement of all that. But that's another way that products can be priced. We see a lot of times that with right in the estate sale. Well, all right, well, I got all this stuff. We'll see who shows up, and I don't know if that table's worth $50 or $800, and who will pay for it. But you bring people together in an auction setting, and you find some of that stuff out. Sometimes we have market pricing or going rate pricing. You'll see this sometimes in restaurants where the lobster. Well, it's market price. It's not. There isn't something listed on the menu. It's just maybe given the lobster that came in last week, it's really expensive, or there was a bunch of lobsters. We got some cheap. And so that's what you'll see there. Price bundling. Think computers. If you've ever gone into a store and bought a computer, but you also bought a keyboard, a mouse, a protection plan, a printer, and a case, and all this stuff, a lot of times they'll say, oh, well, we'll give you all this stuff. If you bought it separately, it'd be, $1,200, but if you buy them together, we'll give them to you for $900. And so people feel good about that. There were items that they wanted to have anyway. They might pick up a few items that they didn't want, but it just comes with the bundle. And so that's a way to sell some products. And it's particularly effective when you really wouldn't just buy the one thing. So if I want to get a new cell phone, okay, I could just walk out with the cell phone, but I might want a case, and I might want a protective shield, and I might want some earbuds, and I might want a phone charger and that kind of stuff. So stores will put together deals for you and bundle it, and you can realize some savings, and they're glad to pass some of that along because they just sold 6 items instead of just one. So that's another strategy out there. Captive pricing. Okay, so this is when by selling one item, you're essentially, the person needs to buy the other item. So if it's an electric razor, they buy the razor, but they need to buy the batteries to run it, right? If they ever want to use it without a cord. Or even just the old-fashioned razors. The razor's fine, but eventually the blade gets dull, so then they need to buy blades. So razor blades, batteries, those types of things where when you buy the one product, you kind of need to buy, part of it wears out and you'll need to keep repeat buying another item. And so they kind of got you hooked unless you just want to abandon it altogether. Maybe even with a car. Not so much captive because you have some other options, but sometimes when you buy a car from the dealership, they will try to say, well, you buy your car from here, then we'll do your checkups for like $25. Now you could go somewhere else, it's going to cost you $50, but since you do need to get your car serviced anyway, you might just go ahead and go with them, and then they have opportunities to sell parts and services and things like that to you. Sometimes we'll see some 2-part pricing. Think cell phone plans. So you buy the phone, and then maybe you buy a plan where it's minutes and texts. But then on top of that, you could buy additional things based on your habits or your usage. And so, there are things out there where part of the price is fixed and part of it's variable based on usage. We have promotional pricing, of course. Think of sales, think of incentives. So it's a price that's probably temporary, but we're running a special, trying to get rid of excess inventory, something like that. And then the last one to talk about in terms of price is price discrimination. And so we don't like the word discrimination because that means, wow, you're treating somebody differently. Well, yes, you are. And there are certain types of price discrimination that are illegal and you can't do. So, if I'm selling a deck of cards, I can't say, oh, well, you are a Chinese woman. I'm going to sell it to you for $4. Oh, well, you are a Caucasian man. I'm going to sell you the same deck of cards for $8. I mean, if that's widely known that I do that, that's discriminating based on, gender and on race. And we don't do that. But we do have a lot of legal forms of discrimination, and there's a good business reason why we do it. So think about the movies. If you go to a movie on, prime time, an evening movie, let's say you're going to pay $12 to go to the movie. But if you go on Tuesdays, you might be able to get in for $7. Or if you go during the day at the matinee, you can go for half price. So you're actually getting the same product, but you're paying a different price. So there is a discrimination factor there, but it's available to anyone, man, woman, black, white, Hispanic, young, old, those kind of things. And so, but the reason that companies do this is like a movie theater, they have downtime. Nobody's in the theaters during the day. So they want to get people to come in. If they give them a break, fine, we're at least making some money. We're making $5 versus no bucks. You'll see restaurants a lot of times where they'll have the early bird special. They want some people coming in at 4:30 and 5 to eat, because come 6 o'clock or 7, now everybody's waiting and it's really hard to feed everybody. So if we can help even out some of that demand, then there's a justification for giving someone a break because they're coming at a less preferred time. So we see that a lot. Now, there are some, I don't know, maybe some of these cases will hit the courts, but, I suppose some bars will be like, hey, it's ladies' night. Ladies get in free and the guys got to pay. At some point, maybe that goes to the courts and say, hey, that's discrimination. It is, but most guys won't complain because they want to see the ladies there as well. So, and I guess restaurants, if you're 55 and older, wow, I'm 55 now, I start getting some more discounts. You can get charged less for your meal. But then also, if you're getting a discounted meal, a lot of times they'll cut down on the portion size, and so they can justify it that way. But sometimes they'll just say, it's like, okay, you're a veteran, you get 10% off. Is that discrimination against non-veterans? Yeah, I guess so. But our world's not fair, and a lot of veterans put their lives on the line, and so we seem to be okay with some of that type of price discrimination. If it's deemed to be a population that I guess we feel like is worthy of getting a break, which again, sometimes it's odd. I can't really explain it. It's just out there. But there are some good business reasons, especially to even out demand, as to why we have price discrimination. Just a couple things talking about discounts. So especially in the B2B market, customers a lot of times don't pay the same price for products. And there are some reasons why we give people discounts. Sometimes you get a quantity discount, and we can get that as individuals too. If I'm going to go buy, if I'm going to buy 4 rolls of toilet paper, maybe they're 30 cents a piece. But if I'm going to buy 36 rolls of toilet paper, maybe they're 20 cents a piece. And because I bought more, I get a price break. And so, that can happen. Any kind of sale, come in Sunday, 15% off. All right, there's a discount. We get that. Sometimes your discount comes in the form of you don't pay for shipping. So, okay, all right, great. I don't have to pay the $5 to ship it, so I'll go ahead and do it. There's also uniform zone pricing where if you live within 100 miles, you get one price. If you live from 100 to 300 miles, you get another price. And if you live from 500 miles, 300 miles beyond, you get a third price. So, sometimes you just fit into zones, and then you charge a certain amount from there. Quite often in the B2B market, we have what we call reciprocal pricing. And this probably isn't so much price. Well, it is, I guess, a little bit, but where, all right, you buy from me and I'll buy from you, and they will both do a 20% discount on our products or services. Just sort of kind of an arrangement where people are trying to develop a relationship. So, kind of quick running through pricing, but this is an intro to marketing course. So we're not trying to kill you with too much, but that actually sort of wraps up the content of principles of marketing. So it's an interesting field. There's a lot of stuff going on, threw a lot of stuff at you guys over the 6-week period. But if you choose to go ahead in this discipline, we can dig in a lot deeper in some of the things that we kind of glossed over or introduced you to during this course. It's an online course. You took it over the summer. I'm not sure how many of you are on-campus students, if you'll be coming back in August or not, but if you are on campus, we get a chance to see you. Please stop by and say hello to me. I will be in, I think, 215 McMullen Hall. We're supposed to move in July, and our College of Business building is getting completed, and it's a beautiful learning environment, and so excited for the future. And so this week, I will get that exam posted for you to take, and then we got our marketing plans, and we'll be good to go and be able to finish the course up. So let me know if you're having some problems completing this stuff. I know it's throwing a lot at you, but I've got some flexibility. The grades are due next Tuesday, but if you need an extension, I can submit an I grade for you and then change it later as well. So just let me know what I can do to help you. And would have been nice to talk to you and see you, but that's not the way the online course works. So maybe we'll meet up again in the fall. And anyway, I've enjoyed being with you guys this summer session. So best of luck to you, and hope to see you in the future. Thanks. Bye.